Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I am Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Volume 4 of Asadora. Been a while, but we are slowly but steadily making our way through this one.
Yes.
And I will say actually right off the bat, I believe I mentioned in our Volume 3 discussion that that volume to me felt a bit weaker than the first two. Um, so it sort of lowered my overall opinion on the series as a whole slightly. However, Volume 4 has brought it back up again, for me
Oh,
at
really?
least.
Okay.
I absolutely
Okay.
loved this, and my hype is in the roof. So
Mm.
yeah, I guess I'll just say that for now. What are your, I guess, initial impressions on this volume?
I don't know if I'm over the roof hyped, but I will say that the where it ends off on that cliffhanger is very exciting,
Hmm.
and I can't wait to read what happens next. So that's good. But I will say it did feel like a lot more build up to this climax moment. But that said, I do think it's better than the third one in terms of actually having some interesting story progress happening and much more exciting as things are getting down. So I think I agree with you there for sure.
I guess my overall hype for this manga is just always going to be slightly higher than yours, it seems like.
That yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like a downer. I am enjoying what I'm reading. I'm
Mm,
just
mm.
not over the moon type
That's absolutely fair.
of thing.
Mm. Also, one little thing I wanted to touch on briefly before we get into the character discussions is something I've noticed is that we are by now 4 volumes into this series, and we've even gotten by now a pretty good look at the kaiju, or
Yeah.
a decent look anyway. But I don't think there's ever been like any character in the story or anything. No one has used the word kaiju ever, I believe, which I think is pretty interesting.
Oh,
And I don't know.
that's
I
right.
At this point, I just kind of have a feeling that no one is ever going to use that word in this series as a whole, potentially. But
Maybe.
obviously, that's really just a feeling.
You know, I wonder. In this volume, they seem to like definitely avoid using any sort of term that would be close to that. But would the English translation say kaiju? Like, I know in some aspects, like in some manga series, of course they're going to. This one, I wonder. I wonder if they would translate it to monster or something like that. But have we had seen any mention of monster or something
I
like that?
actually believe there was a time when, at least, I believe when they were at the lighthouse, and the guy said that the sailors thought they saw a monster or something like that. I believe
Oh,
they used the word monster then.
oh. So that could be kaiju,
That
but
could have been.
but they could just be using the other word for. I mean, there's a couple words for monsters, so they could just be
Mm.
using a different one.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to know for sure.
But you do bring a good point. Maybe because at that time the concept of kaiju wasn't around. Maybe because well, when was Godzilla created?
I think Godzilla is from 54, and we're in 64 now.
Okay, well then they probably would have had the term
Although
kaiju
the
already.
the universe might be slightly different also, like maybe the Godzilla film was never made.
Oh yeah,
Like,
maybe
because
the
cause
film
we
was
have
never
talked
made.
about that, how, for example, this song that Asa listens to, which is supposedly this one that you were able to find called,
Uh huh.
what was it called?
Uh
Why by Frankie Avalon,
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Why? Yeah.
which is it really seems to be that song because the lyrics really match up and
Mm-hmm.
the timing almost matches up. It's only
Almost
that
matches it. Yeah, it's not
when she sang it
quite,
the
but
first time, or when she heard it the first time on the radio in the manga, at least back in
uh
59, it shouldn't have technically been out yet, was what we figured out. Which,
that's right.
if
That's
if
right.
if, if that's anything to go by, then there may be other slight differences in the world compared to ours. I mean, obviously, there's a freaking
Mm.
kaiju. That is a big difference from the real world, supposedly.
Well, I mean, that's the difference between you and me is that I believe all sort of natural disasters are caused by kaiju, but
Yeah, we would never know.
that's it. We would never know. Oh yeah. I know. I believe. Not just kidding.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, it's interesting idea. Uh, I think you even mentioned like, oh, what if this could be Godzilla or something like that? Maybe we mentioned that a long time ago, but it does not look anything like Godzilla.
Yeah, not at all. We will definitely talk more about that kaiju a
Right.
little bit
I
later in
almost
the
started going
discussion.
into that. My
No,
bad.
all good. But yeah, no, it's definitely very much its own thing. But man, so exciting. So let us get into the character discussions, starting, of course, with Asa Asada. Kind of early on here in the book, when Yone came over to her house, kind of
Mm-hmm.
as a surprise, Asa seemed pretty. It definitely seemed to me, at least, like she didn't really like the idea of being Yone's accomplice in this whole endeavor.
Mm.
And I was thinking about like kind of why exactly would she feel this way. I mean, obviously we've talked about the fact that Yone is keeping this all a secret from Miyako, like how that's not a good thing, and it's definitely possible that Asa is thinking that as well, and that's why she has like these doubts kind of about it, or being a bit iffy on the whole thing. But I also thought that what if those, because she was giving these looks kind of like while Yone was talking there, and she was just kind of silently judging her. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There were definitely some panels of Asa there where she something was going on in her head, but it was hard to know exactly what. Um, Another thought that crossed my mind was that maybe it's just her being genuinely just worried for Yone about the potential of this entertainment agency being scummy
Mm.
somehow. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's also in her head.
Mm.
Um, or maybe it's actually what she's told Yone later, that she always wanted Yone and Miyako to debut together, and maybe that's what's weighing her down, or like that's something that's going on. Or, and this is my last speculation as to what what that all means, and this is probably the wackiest or kind of craziest one too, potentially. Maybe Asa just doesn't think of Yone as close of a friend as Yone thinks of Asa.
Ooh. Oof.
Obviously, yeah, that's maybe a hot one, but it's
Ouch.
just something that also came to mind somehow
Mm.
in regards to this.
Interesting. I don't know if I go as far as to say they're not as close as Yone would think. I think they're all three pretty close friends. Well, for starters, I feel like she's constantly put into these tough positions by Yone, and it's awkward.
Yeah,
At, at the end, Yone says, "Oh, I used your name when I told my parents where I was going," and basically making her an accomplice. And I mean, that'd be kind of be uncomfortable, especially if you're not really all on board with this. Like,
true.
I mean, I think she wants to support her friend. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I think the way this is going about probably just rubs Asa the wrong way. Well, and also like I don't know if she knows exactly what to do anyway. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of a new experience for both of them.
true, true. I guess I will say that the thing about Asa not maybe thinking as much of Yone as a friend as Yone thinks of Asa as a friend, like that idea, it's not something that I think of a lot as being
Right.
the case necessarily. Uh,
Right. 'Cause you said it was a wacky idea.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
However, one thing that came up later that made me, I guess, think of that again, and as the possibility of that, was when Yone said, maybe you wouldn't understand, but it's hard to face big challenges alone. And obviously,
Yeah.
it was a pretty, like, Asa gave a pretty funny reaction to that. She was like, oh, really? Which to me felt kind of half sarcastic a little bit. But it also got me thinking, like, has Asa never told her friends, or at least has she never told Yone about her experience in the Ise typhoon? Like, why wouldn't she have told someone who supposedly would be like one of her best friends about that very major part of her life?
Yeah. So the typhoon part, I would think she would have told her that. Oh yeah, I lost my parents in the typhoon. My home and everything. You would think like she would have told that to her. I don't think she would have mentioned the monster and
No.
maybe the other things because I think Kasuga drilled into her that that is something only for us to talk about,
Yeah.
not not to share with other people. But I'm sure she would have said mentioned like where she came from and everything. So yeah, it is very odd of her to accuse Asa of not being in or not having to face big challenges alone.
Right.
Um, unless she never told them exactly what happened. But I don't know, maybe she hasn't for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And not even given, not even, I'm not even talking about the whole story, but just, you know, the surviving the typhoon part. Maybe that she didn't bother saying anything. I don't know.
Right.
That's interesting
Mm-hmm.
uh, thing to bring up. I also think that deals with Yone's character right now, but I'll save that talk when we talk about her specifically.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I really loved seeing how Asa was standing up to Jisoji in this volume. She was like, "My job is being his big sister," and I don't know that moment. It really got me.
Oh, really?
Much more than I expected it would. At least on this reread that I did today. I don't remember exactly how I reacted my first time reading it a few weeks ago. But today, man, I got teary eyed when I saw that. I was like, wow, yeah, you tell him, Asa. You tell that old man. Man, she's so strong, and I love that about her.
Yeah, I definitely respect her sticking to her responsibility as an older sister.
Mm.
She really has become kind of a, a mother figure in a way. Just how this volume starts off is it definitely seems like a mom thing to do. But I know that she's just an older sister. But
Yeah, but she is that much older that it almost kind of becomes that role in a way, as you said, like a mother role.
right. So yeah, I always appreciate her strong sense of duty towards family.
Mm.
I like, I guess, really going back to Yone real quick. I like how, or I thought it was interesting that Asa went and encouraged her to go
Yeah.
by herself. Maybe that's just I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say the right thing because I have my doubts if that was the right thing.
Right.
Uh, but it's just it seems like she wants to support her in some way,
Yeah.
and I think part of it has to do with her conflicting feelings about Miyako not being there as well. So maybe that's part of it. Because I don't think a person who, if she didn't really care about Yone, I don't think she would have said any of that.
Mm.
You know.
No, I agree. That is a good point.
But yeah, she seems pretty confident that if there is an audition, uh, that Yone would pass. But again, who's to say if that's not just a white lie or
Oh yeah.
just make stuff to make her feel better versus what she actually thinks. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Asa's not the kind of person to at least lie about those kind of things, especially with that much
Yeah.
conviction.
Right. I mean, I guess we can't know for sure, but I agree. I also it felt genuine to me, but hey, I mean, maybe I'm falling for the
Hmm.
lie. But yeah, yeah.
But when has she been disingenuine or disgenuine, whatever the word is, not genuine? When has she ever been like that? I,
I can't think of a situation when she has been, honestly.
yeah. So, but I guess new relationships, new situations may cause for may have that be necessary. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Something I thought was pretty interesting about the kind of pretty much near the end of the volume, we learned that Asa and Keiichi are very much alike in how they've both been burdened by this mystery of the kaiju for years,
Hmm.
but they've both been seen as kind of strange or in different ways. It's been a bad thing for them to have these beliefs or trying to find the solutions or the answers to these things. So Asa told Keiichi to draw or to show that drawing to the world after he would have drawn the kaiju because he was going to draw it instead of taking a photo of it, and how that would help them out. Kind of it would make it so that they wouldn't be seen as strange anymore, or and they wouldn't have to keep it all a secret anymore if they could show that image to the world.
Hmm.
And I think they both were pretty happy about that possibility. But then we have Jisoji, who has been kind of stressing the fact that this is a top secret mission, and all he wants is to protect Japan's image, basically.
True.
And so I wonder if Keiichi is able to make a good drawing of the monster, would Jisoji even allow them to release it to the public?
Good question.
Or would he just want to cover it up and or at least not make it public? I wonder.
My thought on that is it depends on really what happens with the monster. If the self-defense force is needed, like it makes landfall and is a threat, which is what we definitely don't want. And
yeah,
I guess if we're speaking historically, didn't necessarily happen.
exactly.
Then yes, they would show the drawing to the world. But the fact that we have a pretty good indication that's not going to happen, I don't know. I have a feeling that he would kind of want to suppress that
Right.
in some way. Now, it would be interesting if that image were to leak somehow.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like Asa and Keiichi both really would want it to become public, or to go public, for their sanity's sake, almost, like, because they've both been so affected by the fact that they can't talk about it with anyone, and they are both kind of outcasts in a way because of it, or outsiders, sort of. But I get the thought also crossed my mind that it's only going to be a drawing of a monster. How are people actually going to take that seriously, even if it would become if it would release to the public?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it might as well just be any fantasy drawing of a fantasy beast,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be the first time a drawing has caused beliefs and mythology. I mean,
Okay, that's fair.
Was Loch Ness Monster drawing? Or I think it was a picture.
I don't know actually how that originated.
Either way, I don't think it would necessarily be unbelievable. I just don't think everybody would believe it.
Right.
Maybe some newspaper will post it, publish it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it would be received, besides potentially being a giant rumor that spread.
Precisely. As a rumor, it could definitely spread like that.
But it's Asa's first time flying at night.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I'm sure it should be fine. It just kind of ups the stakes a little bit.
Yeah. Also, her first time flying with rocket launchers.
Oh, true that.
So yeah, it's a big situation. And she's singing her song as she flies.
So yeah, cute. That was pretty nice.
That was pretty nice. Well, do you have anything else on Asa?
No.
Then let us move on to Haruo Kasuga.
What a boss.
Yes, that. He definitely, though, he had ended up getting like his own little side story almost in this throughout this volume, which was amazing. I love it. And yes, a boss is what he is.
Yeah, man.
But I like initially, like early on in his little story here, like when he discovered those photographs of Asa at the newspaper reporter's place, I got such a creepy feeling. Like,
yeah,
shit, well, what's this guy doing? Like taking pictures of this girl like that. Yeah, that's definitely creepy.
It was a bit excessive.
You're right. Yeah, honestly, because like later on, I was like, okay, yeah, he's a desperate, like probably like freelance reporter who has had some rough times, and now he's trying to like get a big story or something to kind of make his kind of get his name up there again. And like that was the reason why he was investigating them so much. But honestly, the fact that he had so many pictures of Asa specifically like that kind of makes me think that there was more than just him wanting to hit it big, kind of.
Yeah.
He was probably also an actual creep in addition to that.
Yeah, he obviously he refused. So no, it's not like that. But like, what if he was initially just really obsessed with taking pictures of her, and then he just started to see, oh wait, what's going on with this plane and whatnot.
Yeah, Could be that.
The guy is a scumbag. I understand being desperate, but this is too much.
Oh yes.
I'm glad that Kasuga was able to get one over him. I mean, at the expense of someone's life almost, but yeah, how he was able to get the footage was, quite cool, to be honest.
Seriously,
it was clever. It puts him in a tough situation, to be sure, but the quick thinking on his part, it was phenomenal, really. And yeah, I mean, kudos to Kasuga, the unsung hero of this volume, or little known to anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely, well, we kind of got his words from the previous volumes kind of paid off here in how he would sacrifice himself in a way in order to protect Asa.
Yeah.
Not the way we had really discussed it. Now I guess that could still happen, but
I mean, we're not done yet.
No, absolutely not. But this was so good. Like seeing him, everything he did, like how he dealt with it.
Car chase scene,
man, and he was so intimidating. Like he was like in a good way for us, obviously, because we're rooting for him. But like I would not have liked to be like in that reporter's shoes, because I would have been scared, so scared of that guy. But yeah, like the scenes, they really show how dearly he really cares for us, and obviously nothing new there. We knew this definitely since before, right. But like I bet he was more worried about Asa than he was about the mission. If these photos should have gotten published. Like, sure, he was probably worried to a degree about the mission, but Asa was his main worry. Like,
absolutely,
he wouldn't have wanted those photos of her, like, published or anything.
Right. Yeah. The key is to keep her out of the limelight. Keep her out of harm's way in that way.
She's his daughter, basically.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to get his license taken away, and I don't know if that's just flying or driving. That could potentially be a problem, or him being convicted for something worse, hitting a guy. But it's kind of a tough situation he's in. But one thing I wanted to point out is the guy he hit was a perfume salesman of some kind.
Although it wasn't Kasuga who hit him.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. It slipped of the tongue. The guy who's been hit.
Right, yes.
Actually, before I talk about that, let me just say that when we were doing the Volume 3 discussion, I held my tongue from talking about the news reporter or about this guy.
Oh.
I don't know why. I was
he was very brief, very minor.
He was very brief, but for some reason I felt like I should have. Like I had it in my notes and everything, but I was like, you know what, whatever. I'm not gonna mention it. And then he ends up being an important thing in this next volume. I was like, dang it, why did I mention it?
Yeah. He was even the guy who took the photo that is on the volume cover of Volume 4.
I saw that.
Because the fact that volume or that photo appeared actually in the story, like in the volume as well as on the cover. I think that's the first time we've ever had like that photo of Asa on the volume cover actually also be in the volume. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it definitely looks like she's kind of posing. Like, so maybe she saw the guy with the camera. I don't know.
I mean, I bet that's possible. Anyway, sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so when that reporter hit the guy, and then we end up seeing the contents of his suitcase eventually, and he's perfume seller.
Yeah.
A thought came to my mind on the reread. Is that significant in any way? Because otherwise, why bring it up? I guess maybe you're giving a reason for why he's on the road, why he's going door to door in this case. So I guess that's fair. But wouldn't it be interesting if that perfume plays a role later on? And I'll save that thought for predictions because I feel like I'm going in prediction territory.
I was actually going to bring up this perfume guy also in predictions, but because I also had basically the same question, like why have that in the story at all? Like that detail with the perfumes, if it's not going to be significant. I didn't initially have an idea for what the significance might be. But now that you alluded slightly to maybe something, I may actually have an idea as to what it will be. But yes, we'll save that for later.
Cool.
Little cliffhanger here or something like that.
I've been doing that a lot lately. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good.
I end up like having my predictions in some of the character bios, and I don't know. They're like thoughts about the character, but then they become predictions. It's like
yeah. It's all good. It's all good as long as the discussion flows, and it does. So don't worry about it.
Maybe.
But did you have anything else on Kasuga?
No.
Then next up, let's talk about Keiichi Nakaido. So Professor Yodogawa taught Keiichi that a scholar throws away nothing, that to a researcher nothing is garbage. And in present day in this volume, I think Keiichi finally understood that teaching, kind of, and it even seemed like he's starting kind of very slowly but steadily to begin to be able to comprehend Yodogawa's handwriting, maybe. At least he was able to read the word weakness, which he hadn't been able to do back in the flashback.
True.
But in present day, he could read that, so I see that as a small step in the right direction for him to maybe eventually be able to decipher the notes.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see him try to do that up in the plane, because it's supposed to be nighttime, right? So can he even read them? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I guess potentially it could work out.
Plus, he's going to draw the monster in that darkness, supposedly.
Right. Like, how much time do you have to do? I don't know.
Yeah. The quickness as well, but also drawing without being able to see your lines is very tricky.
It was interesting to see them being him and Asa have that kind of bonding moment, like you mentioned earlier. And this is where I was holding my tongue. And I'm not too happy, really, if this is the direction that we're going with this story. Because I feel like they're doing my boy show dirty. But if there's supposed to be any sort of like furthering of their relationship, Nakaido and Asa, like I mean, this is definitely like would be a key moment in that. And I, not to say Nakaido's a terrible person, but he's not a terrible person. I just don't like how he still treats Asa. He still calls her a nobody and not even apologizing for it.
Right. Yeah, he's rude. He's a rude dude.
And I get that they have like equal understanding, like, oh, we're both considered outcasts or whatever. But I don't know. I'm also not sure what the age gap exactly is, but I guess after a certain point, that doesn't really matter.
I will say that I don't mind their the relationship between these two characters. I'm glad that something more is happening. But I personally, so far, I don't see it. I don't see any of this as romantic.
Right, and I don't really see it as romantic either. But that's the thing. As someone, I mean, you're reading as well, but these kind of stories and relationships start out this way, and then they build into something more. You know what I mean? Like, it's not automatically cute. Oh my gosh, hearts fluttering.
No, of course, true.
So, as a shipper, you gotta look out for these things.
Yeah, it's true. You have more years of experience with this than I do.
So I'm not saying right off the bat, oh, this is exactly where he's going with it. But the dominoes are there, if you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, it could be.
It could go in that direction. I don't want it to necessarily, and I don't necessarily think that is the direction he's going to go, but the possibility is certainly there.
I suppose. Honestly, it didn't even cross my mind at all throughout reading this volume. Hold on. I know we discussed it a bit last volume.
The previous
when we talked about volume 3, we discussed the possibility of it a little bit. But while reading through this volume, I don't think that ever crossed my mind at all, actually. And I think it's better that way. for me at least, or
Yeah.
well, and for you perhaps too. But yeah, like I think regardless, I am in agreement with you that yeah, I hope it's not going there.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm just glad to see more interaction between them and them getting closer as colleagues, friends, whatever, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I think it's good because it gives both of them more depth
Mm,
than before. So
yeah.
probably more so Nakaido than Asa.
Right. Yeah.
But
Because yeah, we don't know him as well. Another thing that I enjoyed seeing from him this volume was this sensitive side that we saw when he was on the phone, and the person he was talking to basically made Yodogawa's thesis sound more correct than I think Keiichi had ever really dared to think of it as.
mm,
And he was crying when he was on the phone when that possibility came up, and I thought that was pretty sweet.
yeah, it's very sweet to see his kind of cold exterior. Well, cold is not right, but like his stubbornness kind of melt.
Hmm.
Because deep down, I think he always did want to believe in his mentor,
Right.
but the stubbornness or the realist in him, you know, probably couldn't fully accept it, and also all of the examples of people scoffing at Yodogawa's work.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it definitely made an impact on him. So seeing that kind of melt away in this instance is satisfying.
Very. Anything else on him?
No,
Then let us talk a bit about Yone Nakajima. So she defied her parents for the first time in her life and ran away from home.
I mean running away from home, that's not great. Defying your parents, uh, I mean, I definitely come from a background where it's like, you must obey your parents all the time, and
Mm.
you know, honor your father and mother. So I get that, and I do. But I don't think it's necessarily bad to, depending on the circumstances, defy your parents.
Yeah. It's natural in your teenage years. I think most people do in some way.
Right, in your teenage years. I mean, and there's levels of defying, you
Of
know.
course. Hmm.
But this is definitely dangerous territory for Yone, and potentially an extreme of what she's doing. Life experiences, of course, but she is really just taking this whole audition thing way too hard. I guess that's the showbiz, but also uh,
Hmm.
she's making a lot of choices that are harming her friendships, harming her relationship with her family, and really being selfish. I think we talked previously about are Yone's intentions good or not? Is she trying to help Miyako or something like that? I think I was bringing that up, but I think after this, there's no way. There's no way she has Miyako's good in mind.
No.
Whether or not she thinks Miyako's good or bad, she's definitely wants to be solo. She wants
Yeah.
the glory for herself for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just probably always been her dream, I imagine. But she hasn't, I guess, been courageous enough to say that to Miyako. Like,
Oh,
Miyako has always been so adamant about them doing it together as a
that's
group, as a
true.
trio.
That's true.
But
Hmm.
Yone is as a person more withdrawn, I believe. And
Mm.
I think that's because of that she hasn't felt comfortable sharing her dreams, which I believe has probably always been to be like a solo artist like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
But definitely right now she is blinded by the idea of this stardom, I think,
Hmm.
for sure. Like she's way too eager to impress this
Yeah.
guy who is an obvious creep. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like just the way Urasawa draws this person, it just screams creep.
Yeah. It's like it almost makes me think: is this too obvious?
Yeah,
Like, are
true.
we
Yeah.
gonna be, you know, bamboozled here? It's like, oh, he actually is a legitimate talent person. But no,
Right.
I'm with you. This guy's creepy. Red flags.
Mm,
Going anywhere with a guy like that to his office, like,
yeah.
not great. So it's
Not at
things are
all.
definitely looking very bad for her right now.
Very.
Real quick, I also didn't like the fact that she tried to rope Asa in on all this. the way she was doing it felt very manipulative. And I
Yeah.
think, to me, I didn't really get to say that. I think that's why Asa felt so awkward in that moment, is because
Uh,
I think she does just feel that Yone is roping her into this and being manipulative and putting her in a tough spot. I don't blame anybody for feeling uncomfortable with that.
yeah. I think also the intensity of Yone in those
Right,
instances
she
when
was
she's
very
talking to
tense.
Asa, it is
Sure.
also, yeah, it does make it awkward kind of.
Yeah.
About the manipulation or the manipulative behavior kind of, I definitely see what you mean. I don't think I had thought about it myself, but I see what you mean. I don't know if it's like intentional manipulative behavior.
I think a lot of manipulative behavior is not necessarily intentional.
Right, precisely.
You know.
And so I think this is one of those instances where, yeah, it is, yeah, she's not trying to be, but yeah, she
Hmm.
still kind of is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I wonder if Asa hadn't given Yone all those words of encouragement before she went off with Chisoji and the others,
Hmm.
could that have changed anything? Would Yone not have gone? Maybe if she hadn't been so kind of cheered on by Asa. I don't know. I mean, we can never know, but
Maybe not.
I do think those words of encouragement from Asa definitely made an impact on Yone though, because
Yeah.
they were kind of resonating with her, and she was remembering them again, like after the fact, and it seemed like those words was what kind of made her able to go.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thought. But anything else on Yoneko?
I don't think I have anything else. No.
Then let us talk about Miyako. Maybe not strange, honestly, that she's figured out that Yone is hiding something from her. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the fact that she seemed to think that Asa was in on it, which she isn't technically, but also she's sort of halfly is,
Right.
or was, or how,
She's in
yeah.
on it not by her own choice.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do feel bad for Miyako, but also she's kind of just like Yone, putting Asa in a tough
Mm,
spot in between them, and
yeah.
and kind of, I don't know, doing some underhanded things as well. At least
Yeah.
trying to. Uh,
Yeah, a little bit kind of hypocritical, a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I don't think either of them really know. 'Cause obviously, Yone and Miyako don't understand what's going on, but they're both kind of, well, being jerks in this situation, or at least not thinking about anybody other than themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can understand Miyako more in this instance
Yes,
because, like,
yes,
she's upset because one of her best friends is acting strange around her and is clearly keeping something from her.
you're
So I
right.
think that definitely is fair, like, to be upset about.
Hmm.
I agree though that she shouldn't be asking Asa to pry, or to like to stalk and to
Hmm.
stalk Yone the way she does at the end there. Like those are two things that one shouldn't really do. The best course of action obviously would have probably just been for Miyako to approach Yone directly and ask her about it. But
Yeah, exactly.
again, they're teenagers and
Right, right.
it's rough.
I mean, it's easy to try to get someone to do it for you, or someone that you trust. Although I would have thought that Yone and Miyako had a closer relationship than that.
Apparently not.
But maybe Yone has been pushing Miyako away so that she can't even talk to her, have that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, man.
Especially with Miyako's personality, I feel like it would be strange if she didn't try to just come up front to Yone and be like, "What's up?" Unless Yone just
Yeah.
totally was avoiding her.
True. Right. That's a good point.
But then again, teenage girls, so who knows?
Right. Yeah, it's complicated.
It's complicated. We're getting that girl drama in this morning drama. Like,
Wonderful.
definitely have it. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Uh, so she ends up following Yone to
Yes.
the place,
Mm,
uh, but also ends up getting into a spot herself and seems to have disappeared uh, at the end. Or at least
mhm.
her umbrella is gone, or is the only thing there, and we don't know exactly where she went.
I'm so worried about her right now.
Yeah.
Like, probably more worried than I am about Yone because we don't know anything about like her whereabouts, and just
Uh-huh.
seeing that left behind umbrella was really ominous, I thought.
That was very ominous.
It's like, what happened to her? I'm a bit scared for her, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess, yeah, she's gone, so maybe there isn't more to say about her.
Yeah, not right now at
Not
least.
right now, yeah. All right, then. Let's move on then to Colonel Minoru Jisuji. I don't have much on him, really, but
I don't
the
either.
one little note I took was that, well, obviously, since the previous volume, we've understood that at the core, he's a good guy, or at least he's not a bad guy.
Mhm.
he's he just wants what's best for Japan, really,
Mhm.
which you can't really fault him for being that way, I suppose, for
Mhm.
the most part. However, there was that one part kind of near the end of this volume where this really cold line of him where he prefers to put a high school girl and a young biologist at risk
Right.
in order to spare the government in case things should go sideways. That
Mhm.
is damn cold. Not surprising necessarily, but it is still like he isn't like a great guy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated his reaction to Asa putting her foot down with her brother and everything like that.
For
Uh,
sure.
I mean, maybe that speaks more to Asa's uh, sense of duty and stubbornness versus Jisoji uh,
Yeah, yeah.
kindness. But at the end of the day, he did allow it.
Yeah, he was like, "Let's go to the kindergarten." It was pretty funny to see him say that, or like,
Yeah,
anyway,
but
yeah. Hmm.
uh, you have this side where he's clearly focused on keeping Japan's best interest in mind and not really or willing to put the blame on Asa.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame him for thinking that per se, for who he is and what his role is,
Yeah.
but it just goes to show where his priorities are in all this.
For Japan.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, he's definitely a very interesting character.
I agree.
Then let's move on a bit to Akira.
Yeah.
And real quick before we actually get into his character itself, we talked about the strangeness of his name last time,
Mm-hmm.
or like this supposed code name kind of deal. And I
Yeah.
believe we discussed last time if it was supposed to be like Akura or like Akura because of the way it's written.
Uh-huh.
But after this one, because we also were introduced to Mr. Bito and Mr. Sina, which also have like, well, so we got like a whole trio now, A, B, C men, and I think it's Akura. Like it's supposed to sound like a name, I guess, with Bito and Sina.
So I'm trying I'm trying to see if like I could get the what his name is in actually in Japanese, like the Japanese volumes, but
Oh, like with those letters. Mm.
is there an Asadora wiki?
I have
I
no
don't
idea.
think I don't
I have
think
never
so.
checked.
Yeah, I don't think so. So here's a theory I'll put out only because I don't know what the actual Japanese is. If the actual
Uh huh.
Japanese has the Roman numeral A and then
Mm.
Kuda, then it more or less is either Akura or Akuda and then Bito or whatever it was or
Bito and Sina.
Bito and Sida. But what I propose is that the translators went ABC because that's the American alphabet or the English alphabet, the first three letters. But
Mm.
instead, in the Japanese, it would be A I U.
I see.
So Akura, Ito, which is definitely a name, and then what was the other? Una.
Sina.
So Una. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say.
So I don't know why they would make that change. Like why maybe they wanted to emphasize the fact that these are the first letters of the alphabet. Uh,
Right. I guess if that is a change they made, then I reckon there is a reason for it, and there's a significance maybe to it that may come further down the line potentially.
or just or maybe just emphasizing that these are code names.
Oh yeah, I guess could be that too.
Or like we just take it how it is, and that's exactly how the Japanese translation is. It's literally A, B, C, and then probably from here on out D, E, F, G.
Right, yeah, exactly. Could be our letters,
Yes.
but then followed by like Kura being written with
Uh-huh.
whichever alphabet they prefer to use them for. I
Yeah.
don't know which of the three they would have done, but either way, yeah, like could be all that. Also, we really can't know. But yeah, anyway, all that aside, yeah, Akira, Bito, and Sina, I think is how we're supposed to pronounce them. But anyway, Akira got a parking violation, and I was totally with Asa, like in laughing at him for that.
Yeah.
And it was also, I think what made it even funnier was his expression while she was laughing. He looked so sad.
Yeah, he did.
I just thought that was
He
really
really
funny.
did.
Poor guy. Even he was stalked by the fishy newspaper guy, reporter person.
Or was he stalking Asa?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That makes kind of more sense actually. Although, no, it makes more sense. I think that he would be snapping photos of Asa there.
I mean, it could be either like maybe he was trying to snap photos of Asa, or maybe he was tailing the suspicious Akira guy. I don't know.
But yeah, I like that possibility at least. I know my last little thing on Akira was I just really appreciated how sweet he seemed to be with the Koshichi.
Yeah.
It was a bit unexpected, but I think that like there was some genuine trust. I think there that Koshichi felt toward Akira, and I mean obviously he delivered. You know he did what he was supposed to. Took him to the doctor and then took him to Kineo's place, and everything worked out.
Yeah.
Next, let us talk a bit about that kaiju that we now have a pretty good visual on. I love that design.
Yeah.
Like really, like sure it's pretty dark, but like at least from what we can see, which is a lot more than we'd seen before, I think it looks so cool.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty unique design for a kaiju. I like it.
Mm-hmm. And apparently it has a pretty bad smell. Stinky.
He's stinky. He's stinky. He's very stinky.
Yeah.
Was there any sort of smell when during the typhoon at all? I don't remember the.
I don't remember there being any mentions of it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting. There's got to be some significance about the stinky.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he's become a recluse and just hasn't bathed in a while.
He seems to be bathing every time we see him.
Hey, monsters have different sweat glands. Maybe the salt water doesn't work. Maybe he has to bathe in something else.
Maybe he needs a lake.
Needs the right hot spring, like from Spirited Away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. I was thinking that's why the Loch Ness monster hangs out in a lake and not in the ocean, just to stay clean.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess there isn't too much else on the kaiju, maybe, or
no, I don't have much else.
Then let's slide right on into predictions here.
Right in.
I'd like to about the stinky kaiju. Maybe I'm way off here, but earlier when you brought up the perfume guy.
You gonna steal my thunder?
No, but I thought you were going to mention or to tie it to the stinky kaiju.
Yes.
Oh, you were? Okay. Because that was only a guess, but please take it from here.
Okay. Well, so not just the stinkiness of it, but also the weakness. So we don't know what that weakness is. We know that it exists.
Right, yeah.
But wouldn't it be interesting, and this goes to if he can even decipher it while they're flying up in the air, but if they figure out what the weakness is and it happens to be, oh my gosh, strong smells, like a perfume of some kind, or, getting rid of that stink, take your pick, then, and somehow Kasuga is able to hear about that, somehow he gets in contact with Chisoji or whatever, then maybe they can pass along the perfume thing, or somehow they get a plane. Not the plane. That doesn't seem likely, but anyway, they get the perfume, throw it on the monster, and then the monster leaves. before it makes landfall, before they have to call the oh my gosh, self-defense force.
Right.
So yes, that was my theory and thinking about it all. I don't know how likely that is, but I just don't know. I do think that they're gonna have to find its weakness in some way, whatever that weakness is, to make the monster leave. And with the addition of this just kind of random tidbit of perfume salesman guy,
Yeah.
it just seems like that could be it. And to clarify, I don't necessarily mean that they would have to throw that suitcase exactly, but maybe it inspires Kasuga to be like, oh, that could be it, or we could use this or something like that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, because I was gonna say it would be very convenient if he just happened to be right next to that perfume bottle or whatever, and then like, oh, perfect. I'll just go get this to them.
I mean, I wouldn't say that the story is not convenient. I mean, look, they were trying to find the notes, and the weakness notes were the memo pad that they were using. I mean, that's pretty convenient.
You're right. You're right. I suppose we shouldn't put it past Urasawa.
Not to say it's terrible, but
no, for sure. I mean, hey, I've said it many times. I absolutely am in love with this story. But anyway, yeah. No, I like that. I like that. I think, except, I guess one part that I'm a bit iffy on is is if they're actually going to find this weakness now, like during this flight, in a way, like
right.
Because it seems like maybe that would be too incredible. Because like Keiichi has just recently, very, very, very slightly started to be able to read his mentor's handwriting and to be able to decipher like the whole description about the weakness. I feel like that would be kind of strange for him to do now. Maybe. Plus, I also have this prediction from last time about Shota also playing a hand in deciphering Professor Yoragawa's notes.
Yeah, I would really like that. I want that too, man.
Right,
I want
yes,
that too.
yes. We want this. So, and since there was no Shota in this volume, obviously,
sad.
We want to see him again, and my prediction is that he will come back and he will help out with the deciphering of those notes, and like maybe he and Keiichi will collaborate on that, and together be able to find out that weakness, whatever it is. So I think, I ultimately think the weakness is going to be learned at a later point in time. That said, though, I really like because I mean I also thought about the perfume thing and like what's the significance there. I had no idea at all for what it could be. So I like the fact that you actually had an idea there, and I like this tying it to the fact that the kaiju actually, well, there is a smell that's also got to have some kind of significance. So kind of makes sense, but I don't know. Anything else on that thing?
On the monster, I mean, I think they resolve it this next volume in terms of the monster leaving. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
That it's defeated or whatever, clearly, but I think that it will go away, in some way, and that the Olympics won't stop. They'll keep going.
Yes, I'm with you on everything that you just said there. Somehow the kaiju will leave the bay.
Yeah.
It seems to be moving really slowly, it seems like, because it's been like basically an entire day from the moment when it was first seen by those sailors in the bay to the point that we're at the end of this manga, and because it's already nightfall. So it's been like an entire day, and the kaiju doesn't seem to have moved a whole lot. So it's huge, but maybe it's just pretty slow. or it's just sitting around. Maybe just it wants to be there. It's choosing to remain in one place. Perhaps I guess we can't know for sure. But some predictions on the human characters. I have a feeling that Asa might blame herself if something bad happens to Yone because of the way that she was encouraging her.
Yeah.
And if something bad does happen to Yone now at the entertainment agency, Asa is going to feel bad and maybe guilty
That's a good,
about that.
Good point. point.
And kind of along those lines, regarding Miyako, whatever is going on with her, I think if Yone ends up fine, but Miyako doesn't, then I think Yone is gonna feel bad about that. Maybe she's gonna feel guilty for not having informed for not having informed Miyako about it, all that, and understanding that she ended up in a bad place because Yone wasn't truthful to her, So I think there's potential for a lot of guilty consciousness in the next volume in various combinations, depending on how both Yone and Miyako turn out. I am worried about both of them. So worried about both of them.
Yeah, it's not a great position, or a great situation with them. Want to hear my crazy theory?
Yes, please.
What if Miyako ends up getting along with those two guys somehow? Like she's able to win them over, and they end up tailing Yone and the creep, and save her from whatever sketchy business he does. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would be,
but completely not possible.
I mean, those guys were scum, though.
They were punks, yeah.
Yeah, like I like it kind of because it would be an unpredictable thing that I may enjoy, but I don't think I can see it really. Something I do see though, potentially, although it's still kind of strange, is Noro, Keiichi's cousin's brother or whatever he is.
Right. That was the other thing I was gonna bring up, but okay.
Yeah, right. Because Asa told him to go to Akasaka and accompany Yone there. Very kind of sporadic or kind of spontaneous order that she gave him, like amidst all those.
It was pretty random.
The noisy plane, and just suddenly like okay, and like for him of all people, like he's like, I don't know, I don't know if I trust that guy completely, or at least not that I would like entrust my friend to him or something like that. I don't know. He's not a bad guy, but I don't know how capable he is, and I don't know. It's got to lead to something. I feel like I don't think it would have been included in the story if it wouldn't lead somewhere. So I'm guessing he'll show up in Akasaka somehow. Maybe he won't find Yone, who was his the one he was supposed to find. Maybe he'll find Miyako and help her out instead, or I don't know. There's gonna be something there with him, though. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, look, the bad ending is Yone takes a step into the dark side, the black market kind of a situation, and just did they get rid of the red district? I can't remember, but either way,
I believe one part of it.
Maybe it was
something,
just one part of it.
But I mean, obviously, like there's definitely multiple places like that. I believe in Tokyo.
Yeah, so that could be the bad ending for her, and then a bad ending for Miyako would just be that she gets, well, basically mutilated or really beat up, put in a bad situation.
I mean, there could be a lot of like honestly, if we're just talking about bad endings, there's a shitload of different really bad endings that could have happened.
Well, I'm not expecting her to get murdered.
There could be murder, there could be rape, there could be all sorts of horrible outcomes.
Yeah.
But I don't know really what to expect.
Here's what I'm trying to say is that I don't think those are gonna happen. I don't think.
Okay, I hope you're right.
I don't think this kind of story is gonna have a bad ending for them.
Actually, that is a good point. I think you're right, because Urasawa, yes, he can write some very heavy, dark, tragic ending things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with this one, I think he's trying to write an optimistic and positive story.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, I am ultimately optimistic about this, but yeah, still can't help but be a bit worried. Still,
I mean, yeah, we don't exactly know where it's going, By the way, I looked at the Eikura thing, and in Japanese, it seems I can't find the Bito or Sina or whatever, but Eikura I did, and it does actually use the English A. So
okay,
there's that.
Good to know.
Not exactly sure how it's pronounced.
No, that's fair. Well,
I guess it would be just Akura.
Yeah, I feel like that flows best. One question I have is, for how much longer is Kinio going to be left in the dark about all of this that's going on? The ending of this volume, or sort of the ending of this volume, I think is is leading in a direction where she will find out pretty soon, at least about some of the things that's happening.
Yeah.
Or at least so I hope. Honestly, she deserves to know what essentially her daughter is going through.
Yeah, I agree. And at this point, she's pressing so hard on Akura that I really think it's hard to avoid telling her at this point.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna slip. Like he can't maintain that facade in front of her.
Either he will slip, or by the end of the volume, Asa will have a talk with her about it, or Asa and Kasuga or whatever.
That could be nice as well. Yeah, just in some way, yeah. Definitely predicting that she will get in on it all.
Yeah.
As will Shota. Maybe not next volume, but eventually he will get in on it.
I hope so. I mean, they got to figure out the weakness somehow, and I just still feel like I agree with you that him reading the messy handwriting would be a great plot point. But it all depends on if they actually figure out the monster, if they need to figure out the monster's weakness or not.
Right.
maybe the monster is just gonna randomly go away, and they're like, well, that was weird, why did it randomly go away? And then they figure out because they decipher the writing, it's like, oh, that's why, because this is his weakness.
Oh, right. Yeah, true. Precisely.
Maybe that could happen. I don't know.
Could be. So do you have any other predictions?
While the stakes are high, it's pretty sensible, I don't think any harm is going to come to Asa or the plane, really. Do you think they're actually going to use the rocket launchers? Do you think that's actually going to happen?
I'm going to say no on that.
Yeah.
What about you?
I feel like they would save that for a later time.
Maybe. Right. Yeah. That was my thought as well.
But I could be totally wrong. Maybe now is the time.
I mean, hey, maybe. But yeah, no, just because I think it's fun to give kind of direct answers or in terms of speculation, I'm going to say no. And let me be wrong or right.
I mean, I think I don't think necessarily need a direct answer for it to be interesting, but
yeah, I think that there's plenty of other things to make the next volume exciting. I feel like we have gone through so many different speculations and like in the predictions part here. There's so much potential with the next volume, and I am going to read it immediately after we end this recording here. I'm so stoked.
I think I'll do the same.
Wonderful. Man, now all I can think about is reading that next volume, so I don't think I have too much else to say. Do you have anything you want to say before we end the episode?
No, I'm done.
Very well. Then, if you all enjoy our content here, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 5. Bye-bye!
See you later!
Lovely. Oh, actually, let me just bring out the trumpet one last time.
Burp, burp, burp.
Excuse me.
Announcing His Royal Highness, the Duke. Oh, wait. How could it be a highness and a duke?
Hey, I mean, I'll take it.
I'm failing.